This is a review of set 75366 LEGO Star Wars Advent Calendar. This set has 320 pieces and originally retailed for $45 back in 2023, which is the year of this Advent Calendar, and comes with, of course, 24 miniature minifigures and builds in this set. Of course, this is an Advent Calendar, so when you flip it around and cut the two tapes here, it will have a flap here which you can put down and see all of the days, which I've never really known why, but it's never actually been ordered from 1, 2, 3, of course, going all the way down to 24. And today I'm going in depth to all the minifigures, builds, and everything we see in this. Now, I'm mainly doing this because I wanted to show how LEGO has improved or disimproved with their advent calendars throughout the years since 2011 to, of course, 2025. So the first build we have here is Omega and her sleigh, which is really, really cool to get two builds. A minifigure and, of course, her side build. Here is what they look like. Omega here with actually some arm printing, which is really cool because this is an advent calendar. This is a pretty cool figure. She also comes with some short legs, a really cool hairpiece, and two double-sided faces there. So it looks really, really nice. And of course, it also has a miniature sled build, which can fit her pretty good. It actually works really well with her short legs. It's a pretty cool build. I mean, it's an advent calendar, so I would expect to get some kind of sleigh. This is a pretty simple build and pretty fun one for the first day. Going along with the Bad Batch theme, we have the Justifier, which also includes a little bit of like wear and tear, I guess, which LEGO decided to incorporate, being light tan and a dark tan pieces. Personally, I would have rather had just completely dark gray. I feel like it would have looked a lot better, and I feel like this is the only thing really holding it back, but I understand why they wanted to do that, to add a little bit more detail, I guess, rather having a gray small build, which obviously isn't that cool. So it'll take a little bit longer to actually showcase day 3, because I actually got 2 of them, and the build was the N1 Starfighter, which I love how they're able to incorporate all the colors, and I think even looks better than the full scale, I guess not full scale, the play scale version, which I do actually have from Book of Boba Fett. But of course, really like this build, probably my favorite in the set, but sadly I actually got 2 of them, so of course I just kept the other build sealed here. This is what it looks like sealed, if anyone was wondering, all the pieces that include in it. And instead of getting one build here, I actually got it, I believe, in the Ewok glider. Instead of getting the Ewok glider, I got another of the N1 Starfighter builds, which I believe LEGO struggles with a lot, and I'm probably going to include that in my final review of this set. Day 3 is a really sad pit droid, which kind of sucks. It's supposed to, I guess, act like a Santa, but definitely isn't good as the Jango Fett, Maul, or Yoda, or any other Santa they've done in the past, which I feel like they should definitely continue, and this was definitely a very sad build, and not worthy to be in this advent calendar. Day 5 is a full turbo tank, not a Republic Juggernaut. Feels weird to say that because it's after August of 2025 here, but this is actually a pretty fun build. I mean, it is smaller micro scale, so I'm not sure how well they even could have captured this, but honestly, for a micro build, it is pretty fun to have. We haven't really got one of the year, so it's not really a summary of the year, I guess, but still cool small build, which I really, really like. Day 6 includes a Phase 2 212 with a longer blaster here, which I believe only else came in the ATTE. This is a okay figure, honestly. I really like the fresh colors of the orange that we see here, but of course the helmet is inaccurate, not only being the helmet holes. Of course the actual helmet marking should be a point instead of a little bit rounded there, but besides that, this is a really cool inclusion. Definitely surprised when I opened it up for the first time. Day 7 is a really cool command post here with, I guess, adjustable things here, which are on the side, which I guess will help it position on the bottom, and also has, I'm assuming, a little satellite here which you can rotate, which actually you can rotate a lot. Uses a mixel joint there. I'll actually take the clone and put him on the stand here, and it actually looks pretty good. Doesn't really provide too much cover, but still really cool build to, I guess, continue the theme with the 212 there. Day 8 is a battle droid, nothing really wrong with it, and it is kind of cool to have him fight against the clone, so pretty cool for day 8. Day 9 is a recolored stab speeder, which is actually really cool, again, to have a little bit more power for the Separatists to fight against the clone, and it also comes with a little bit of the turf from Naboo, which is really cool. I guess, so I'm assuming it is episode 1, even though we get a phase 2 clone, which technically clones didn't even exist during episode 1, but honestly, I'm not going to critique it that much. Pretty cool build, and I'm glad they include a little bit of ground for you to put the stab speeder on. Day 10 is a miniature Hailfire droid, which I guess you can also use to fight against the turbo tank, which I actually think is a really, really cool to have in the set, and far as the actual build goes, this is really, really nice. You get an AAT for day 11, which is also cool to have, again, more power for the Separatists. This is a miniature build of the one which included the Nell helmet holes, phase 2, 332nd, which I do have in full scale, but I won't do a full comparison of it. It is pretty cool to get this, and it is, I guess, technically more accurate than the bigger one that we see. 12 is a reindeer gonk droid, which is pretty fun. Really cool to get more of the gonk droids. 13 is an Imperial shuttle, which has adjustable wings there, so you can put in landing position as well as flight position. This one is definitely one of my favorites in the advent calendar, and it looks really, really nice. Day 14 is the Endor Leia, which is really cool to include in the set, and a nice way to get her. Day 15 is a miniature Ewok village, which is actually really, really cool to get, and again, one of my favorite builds in this advent calendar. Next is the bunker on Endor, which they definitely could have done better with, but it was a cool concept. Again, could have done better with it, and a lot more pieces should have been used. It also comes with an AT-ST, which is really cool to see in micro scale. We also see a speeder here, which, to continue the theme of Endor, looks really, really nice, and definitely one of my favorite scaled down sets. The next day is this cool satellite, which is adjustable and has a couple of trees beside it. The first fig we see in a while is Palpatine, who comes with a Death Star 2 sweater here, which doesn't have a lot of detail, but he does even come with printed legs. Sadly, no pupils, which sucks for this figure, but nothing really wrong exclusively from this set, because, of course, this isn't the first time we've seen a Sith figure without any pupils. I would have rather had 2 lightning bolts than this cup of coffee, or I guess hot chocolate, but I guess it makes sense for an advent calendar. You also get Palpatine's chair, which you can perfectly sit on, and also has an adjustable back, which I don't really know why you would adjust it, but still, really, really cool build, nothing really wrong with it, and also works well with Palpatine. There's also a really cool build of an Imperial shuttle. We also get a scaled down Star Destroyer. Here is the Ewok glider, which I wasn't able to actually get when I purchased the set. I had to order it on Lego.com. It shipped fairly quick. I believe I got this around the beginning of December. At least the first I was able to do it all the advent calendar days, and I actually was able to discover it, of course, on the 23rd day. So if I would have discovered it sooner, Lego obviously would have shipped it out before then, but I got it for free with the customer service. They're really nice, and I actually ship it out pretty quickly, but really cool glider to, of course, have holding the final build of this advent calendar, or figure rather, being this cool Ewok here, which is, I guess, Christmasified, is completely white and has his hood here with a little bit of, I guess, a sweater, a little cool design on the front. Not really Star Wars, but really cool to see like an tree of Endor instead of just a normal Christmas tree, but this is one whole piece, so you can just separate it out like that. And of course, you can attach to his Ewok glider pretty good here. Just attach his hands to the bars here, and he can, I guess, glide in whatever way. It should be a little bit like higher, but there are different ways to position, I guess. And pretty cool for the final day to get a minifigure. Would have rather had like the best build or best figure and the last day. I feel like would have been nice, but I guess it sort of matches up and leads up this with the Endor theme. Of course, Lego struggles, especially with their advent calendars, with quality control, and you do get sometimes the wrong build for the different days. So I'm not sure how well this is or how widespread this is or common. I guess this is for the newer advent calendars. Of course, this is 2023, so 2 more advent calendars has released in the time. The 2025 advent calendar is the same exact price point, but actually includes around 100 less pieces, being I believe 236 rather than 320. So that kind of sucks that it is like around 100 pieces less, and it's still having the same exact price point. And, of course, the builds and figures differ in the sets, so you might actually be getting more of a value. If I had to select at least 5 builds that were my favorite, in no particular order, I would include the 212th as one of my figures, one of them also being the Endor Leia. Really cool to get her. Some of the micro builds that were my favorite was, of course, the Imperial Shuttle. Really, really like this one. As well as the N1 Starfighter. It was kind of unfortunate what happened in my set, at least with this specific build. And finally, the Hailfire Droid was definitely one of my favorite builds. Probably the one with the most pieces, maybe. And also the most detailed and accurate. Really, really like this build. But that's going to do it for today's video. And honestly, this advent calendar definitely is not the best we've gone. It sort of deteriorates over time, if you personally ask me, at least for Lego advent calendars. So honestly, I would maybe get this maybe a 6 out of 10. Honestly, I mean, some of the figures that comes in it are kind of cool, but there's nothing $45 worth, at least for this advent calendar set. Definitely would like some of the older ones rather than the newer ones like this one.